listening to 88.5 WMNF Tampa, your community radio station.
The opinions presented on the Healthy Steps show are the evidence-based opinions of Dr. Fred Harvey, the callers, and his guests. These are not the opinions of the staff, the volunteers, or the board of WMNF. The information provided on the show is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease. There is no implied patient-physician relationship in these calls. The nature of the calls is educational and informational only.
Hello there, my dear listeners. It is wonderful to be back with you in the studio on this absolutely glorious Monday morning. I am awash with gratitude to you, my friend, for keeping your radio dial tuned to WMNF Tampa, your community-supported radio station from Tampa Bay to the Gulf of Mexico, the only quaint little radio station that Desmond and Molly Jones would ever stream, and you can stream us as well at WMNF.org. Today's show is, as always, dedicated to you, my dear listener. This is our Ask Me Anything edition of the Healthy Steps radio show, the genuine article with Dr. Harvey on the main line. You know what to do. If you have any medical questions or concerns, just ring us up at 813-239-9663. That number again is 813-239-9663. You can also send an email to dj@wmnf.org. And, of course, you can also text us at 813-433-0885. Well, Dr. Fred, I am excited about the immeasurable possibilities of questions and answers that each and every Ask Me Anything Monday presents. So let's get this show on down the road. Take it away, Dr. Harvey.
Well, thank you, and I am so happy to be back in my home studio, ready to talk with all you peoples once again. It's been a little bit of a break. I haven't taken 2 weeks off in a row in a while, and I know that when Desmond and Molly Jones tune in at the end of the show, they always have a comment like, "Oh, bloody, oh, blada, life goes on, brah."
Ain't that the truth? They are so good about that.
They are, and you know, there's just so much going on that, have so much to talk about, but I'll try and keep it a little bit focused instead of scattered. But I got to say, I really, mold is a problem. I spent a week at a retreat learning some new things and opening up to some new ideas, but the hotel had a faulty air conditioning system and everybody was exposed to mold and mold spores for the entire time we were there. There was not a safe place in the hotel except for in the conference rooms, which were on a different air handler. And it's really a struggle. I had to actually move rooms the first day because I was wheezing. We could see mold around the vent. This was a completely prepaid event, and there were no refunds. So I had to figure out a way to do it. So I spent as little time in my room as possible and outside as much as possible. It's hard when the temperature is 97 and it's 97% humidity, but hey, I was on the mosquito coast of Mexico, the Yucatan, and you got to expect some of that when you're there in the hottest season. But that really is an issue because systemic inflammatory events, these are challenges, and they can be in all kinds of presentations. So the exposure to mold can induce a systemic inflammatory event because our bodies don't like mold and mold toxins. So our immune system mounts a response. And that response uses the chemicals of immune communication. These are things called cytokines and leukotrienes. And these chemicals signal to our immune system, our nervous system, and our endocrine system to do different things. So in our endocrine system, we might have an elevation of cortisol. Cortisol is the inflammatory response hormone. Cortisol is also the principal aging hormone. Every time you induce cortisol, you actually accelerate aging. And it's really incredibly damaging to the brain. So are many of these inflammatory chemicals. We can trigger a cascade of damage that occurs in the brain. And this cascade of damage can result in neurodegenerative diseases, including dementia and Parkinson's diseases. So it's in our interest to avoid systemic inflammatory events. I guarantee you that whether it's prepaid or not, if I check into a hotel that is as moldy as this one was, I will be checking out. I won't be staying there. The problem was with this event that I was at, there were no hotels close enough that I could get a room at, that I could come back and participate in the event, because it was like 10 miles out of the city at a resort on a beach. So when you're isolated like that, it's really a problem. So I couldn't avoid this challenge. And I know I got inflammation because my chest got congested and I was wheezing. My head got congested, and it's been unraveling over the past week. But there are other types of systemic inflammatory events, infections, injuries. You know, if you break a hip, that's causing inflammation throughout your whole body. And so that actually accelerates aging and possibly induces these problems. But, you know, infections like influenza and respiratory syncytial virus and COVID, shingles. Shingles especially is bad because it actually affects the area of the brain where dementia occurs. And so it's herpes simplex of the face, you know, the cold sore goes into a nerve grouping that's just under the part of the brain where you get Alzheimer's activity. And what they've shown is that the beta amyloid, the chemical that is associated with Alzheimer's, appears to be a barrier for activity of herpes virus. In the areas where herpes virus resides in the brain, there's also a lot of the beta amyloid, almost like it's a glue to keep it in place. They've done studies that show that when you remove that glue with certain medications, the people actually have deteriorating mental status, possibly because the herpes virus in that area is activated. We don't really know yet, but it seems to correlate. So since there are these multiple ways of getting a systemic inflammatory event, and by the way, if you're over 65 and you have two of these events, you have a 50% increased likelihood of getting Alzheimer's. So there are some really easy ways to actually prevent some of this deterioration. This is why it's really important for people who are actually in the risk groups over 65, especially to consider getting vaccines. There's really good evidence that getting a flu shot, if you get one flu shot, there's evidence that it will reduce your risk of getting Alzheimer's. In fact, they did a retrospective study looking at 1.8 million adults over 65, and they found that those who received at least one flu vaccine were 40% less likely to develop Alzheimer's. Wow. 40% less likely. Who out there is concerned about the possibility of losing your mind as you age? It's an epidemic. I wouldn't worry. I wouldn't be afraid. I would just do things about it. So you might want to consider getting an influenza vaccine to reduce that if you haven't had one ever. And then there was another study of over 70,000 participants in 2024, just last year. 17% reduction in dementia risk with the flu vaccine. The shingles vaccine in one 2025 study earlier this year, more than 280,000 adults in Wales were found to have a 20% reduction in dementia over a 7-year period after getting the shingles vaccine. And another study in 100,000 patients in Australia found the same reduction. And the CDC recommends everybody over 50 to get that shingle shot. It makes sense. And I'm actually planning on getting mine because I had shingles once. I was able to avoid it because I'm aware, and I was able to get onto medication, supplementation, acupuncture, and all kinds of things in the first day. It went away in 3 days. Most people don't have that luck. Respiratory syncytial vaccine, first approved in 2023, and recent study of over 430,000 people who had taken the RSV vaccine as well as the shingles vaccine were associated with reduced dementia over 18 months period following the vaccine. The tetanus vaccine also combined, the Tdap, it also covers diphtheria and pertussis is going around right now. Pertussis, I have actually diagnosed a patient with 2 or 3 years ago. It's present. Whooping cough is another name. 2021 study, 200,000 patients, older adults who received shingles and Tdap had further reduced risk of dementia compared to those who received only one of the 2 vaccines. There's synergy here. Reducing your risk of systemic inflammatory events reduces your risk of dementia and probably Parkinson's disease. So, though there is a lot of controversy about dementia over time, or about actually the nature of vaccines, because many people are actually concerned about vaccines, this actually shows us that there is significant safety and there is significant benefit. So when I think about interventions, when I think about therapeutic interventions and even diagnostic ones, we want to look at the risk-benefit ratio. Here, I see low risk and high benefit for people who are over 65 and anybody with a weakened immune system over 50. So consider these 4 vaccines, flu, shingles, Tdap, and RSV as potentially useful interventions in preventing the onset of dementia. And now I think that we need to actually talk about it with the public because, vaccines are a controversial thing because there's been so much propaganda against them. Remember, propaganda works. That's how we ended up with the situation politically we're in now. So this is WMNF, and I'm Dr. Fred Harvey. This is the Healthy Steps Show.
Oh, you took my favorite part of the whole spiel out of it.
Oh, darn it. I'll remember that next time, Bill.
Well, yes. If our listeners are just tuning on in, I want to let you know you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here at WMNF Tampa. And I do have Scott waiting patiently on the line, and I want you to join in the queue. Just rate your questions and concerns. Give us a call at 813-239-9663. Maddie is in the phone booth to take your calls. Again, that number is 813-239-9663. And you can continue to send your emails to dj@wmnf.org. And I want to thank Maddie for coming on in today to help us through this. Good morning, Scott.
Hello, Scott.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Harvey, my name is Scott. I live here in Brooksville, Florida. I was listening to your program, and I think it's very educational. I appreciate it. My question is, I just had shingles. I'm 65 years old. My mama passed away, and I was really stressed out, and then I had shingles. Somebody said stress can cause shingles, but regardless, I had it. And then I hear you talking about shingles is like, it's not good to have, and it can maybe onset the Alzheimer's or whatever, which I do not have. But my father had it at 93, and he passed away of it. So I guess it's in my family, and I was wondering if I heard you right. Do I need to get like a flu shot, which I've never had one in my whole life, to help it where I do not get the Alzheimer's? It's a helpful thing to not get the Alzheimer's?
Yes, if you've never had a flu shot, there's actually really good evidence that getting one flu shot will actually reduce your risk of having dementia. Also, after the rash from your shingles heals, it's time to get the shingles vaccine. The Shingrix, Shingrix, is the most current and the one I would recommend and the one I'm going to get.
Okay, I was going to ask you that too. So, I don't even really understand shingles. So I guess when I was a kid, I had an immunization shots for measles and mumps, rubella, all that. And
yes.
What is shingles? Does that come back?
Shingles is actually a virus that infects your nerves. And so when you get the cold sore on your face, the shingles is actually travels up the nerve into what's called a ganglia, a little group of nerve cells right below the brain, and it hangs out there. And then when you get stressed, it activates that nerve, and then that irritates the virus. The virus starts replicating, and it comes back down the nerve and erupts onto your face. And so,
I got it. I did get it in the face, all over the eye and all over the face. So,
yes. So
to reiterate, I need to get another single shot.
if you want to significantly reduce your risk of having that rash show up on your face and cause all that pain again, yes. If you want to reduce your risk of dementia, yes.
Okay, because somebody said that it's very unlikely that it comes back twice, but it will. It is possible to come back twice, huh?
The next time you get stressed, it's highly likely it will come back.
Holy cow, I don't want to go through that again because I don't know if you ever had it. It is
so the person that you were talking to, you should never listen to about medical advice again. They should actually keep their mouths shut.
Yeah, okay. And then one real quick question. I don't even know how to say it. QB Quasin or something. I'll tell you the 3 medicines that I'm on, and somebody said that I need to take QB10 or something on account of it. One is for, one is for stress, and one is for my, one is for my thyroid, and one is for my cholesterol.
Yeah, the cholesterol medicine is probably a statin. Statin drugs deplete coenzyme Q10, a crucial antioxidant in your liver. And so everybody who's on a statin, their doctor, I believe, is being negligent by not telling you to take coenzyme Q10.
Yeah, he did not tell me to take that. So on my own, I should ask my doctor for some of that, or I can get that over the counter.
Well, if your doctor didn't recommend it, do you think he's going to offer it? And 2, it's an over-the-counter supplement, and you should just go find a good quality one at your local health food store because your doctor is clueless about it because they don't get nutritional education.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate every bit of your information, and I take heed to that, and I will get started on that as well as get another shot for my that is a form of herpes then, huh?
It is. Herpes simplex type 1. Herpes simplex type 2 is the genital herpes.
Okay. All right. Thank you, doctor. I appreciate you taking my call.
You're very welcome. And go talk to your doctor about those shots. Make sure he understands why you're getting them.
Yes, sir. I will.
And you can go to any pharmacy and get the shot without a doctor's order because the CDC recommends it and they've arranged it. If you just look on the CDC website, you'll see what these all are available for you to get free.
Yes, sir. And I'm not saying my doctor's a quack, but there again, why don't you think that he's asked me to do that? He never said anything about the QB10 thing, and he's going to give me these things.
Best wishes. Have a great week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you there, Scott. Appreciate you calling on in. And I do have Pat and John on the line, but I want to remind folks you're listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. And I do have Maddie in there to take your call. If you give us a jingle at 813-239-9663. And, of course, continue sending your emails to dj@wmnf.org. One more time, that number to call is 813-239-9663. Let's go to Pat in St. Pete. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning. How's everybody doing there?
Fantastic. How are you today, Pat?
Doing well. Hope everybody's thinking about things going on in the world, and not being too upset by it. I'd like to know, I have AFib, and I'd like to know what natural supplements I should not be taking. I know it's a loaded question. Maybe top 5 or top 10 would be fine. Thank you.
I don't usually approach it that way. How's your sleep apnea being treated?
It is not.
Oh, has it been tested for?
No, the doctor said I didn't need it. I just need a nose strip.
Oh, well, since he didn't evaluate it and sleep apnea is the principal cause of AFib, it sounds like there's a bit of negligence going on there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that recently.
Me too. It's pretty amazing. It's rampant. People don't care. People don't pay attention. People don't have the time to deal with it. Maybe I'm sounding a bit cynical, but in reality, I hear these stories all the time. Like, why didn't they? There's 2 major causes of AFib, if you look it up. Alcoholism or alcohol abuse, excess, and sleep apnea. If you rule those two out, then there's a bunch of other subtle causes, but we need to rule out the major causes. And if you're not a heavy drinker, and then you're probably a sleep apnea person. And so you really should get it evaluated, because if it's treated, then you have less risk of sleep or of AFib.
Are there anything you could recommend other than like a CPAC or other avenues of attack there?
The avenue of attack is to get a sleep test. Period. I would not recommend any kind of intervention. I'm not going to talk about CPAP until after you get a sleep test. If you don't have sleep apnea, you don't need CPAP. But if you have sleep apnea, then you need to figure out what method you're going to use to treat it. And there are numerous. And numerous ways work, too.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Doctor. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Have a great day, and good luck finding out your source of the problem, AFib, because that's not the source problem.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you there very much there, Pat. Let's go to John in Parrish, and I've got Patty and Largo in the wings. Good morning, John. John?
Yeah, hi.
Hey there, John. What you got today?
Hey, John. This is, hi, Uncle Fred. This is John. I used to be a patient of yours, Dr. Fred. I have ulcerative colitis, and you were very helpful in helping me get that under control. And one of the things you pointed out to me was the mind and body connection. And I was just wondering what your thoughts are on the use of psychedelics for therapy for illnesses. Just what you had in mind, or if you had any comments on it.
I think psychedelics are really potent tools that we have been gifted by nature with. And the key here is that we create our worlds ourselves with our belief systems. Our belief systems are how we manifest our lives. So here's an example. If we believe that smoking cigarettes is okay, then we also sign a contract in that we believe it's okay to die from emphysema, lung cancer, heart disease, stroke, other cancers, because that's the contract, It's a belief system. Cigarettes are okay, and so we're okay with the way cigarettes kill us. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so our society has belief systems that it's really okay to poison our food right before we eat it. It's really okay to poison our food in the field before we harvest it. And so it's really okay for us to eat poisons that cause neurodegenerative disease and cancers and inflammatory conditions. It's really okay to poison our food with artificial sweeteners that cause microbiome changes that induce worse ulcerative colitis. These are belief systems. So we have to change our belief systems in order to get healthy.
Yeah.
And that's why the mind-body connection is so important. And that's why even supplementation doesn't work unless you have a belief system around it that it's going to work. Medication is not going to work unless you have a belief system around it that it's going to work.
Yes. Well, thank you,
so,
Doctor.
However we approach our life, we have to actually examine the belief systems that are behind what's going on. And the way we do that is by sitting with the feelings that we've got about what's going on. When you're sitting there with an ulcerative colitis flare, you have feelings. You have pain in your belly. You have anxiety about what's going on. You have fear about what might be next. And so if you sit with those feelings of pain, fear, anxiety, and whatever negative stuff comes up, you might actually find your way back to the belief system that's associated with what got you there.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do. But it's necessary because it's the only way we can actually find the belief system answers that we need to change our way of living so that we can be healthier.
Yeah, you used to tell me, start off your day by meditating. You were right, and I've been doing that. And it
Fabulous.
Does help. It is.
It is so, so important to set the tone for your day in peace, love, abundance. Because if you set it up in poverty, then you have a poverty-filled day.
Yes, sir. Good man.
So you can have belief systems about the foods you eat. Like, dairy often triggers people with ulcerative colitis. Yeast will often trigger people with ulcerative colitis. So you have a belief system that drinking a glass of wine and having some tiramisu is really okay, then you're going to induce your ulcerative colitis, probably. Right?
Yes, you're absolutely right.
So it all comes back to our belief systems about what we're doing in our lives.
Yeah, I've got it under control with biologics, and you'll be happy to know that I'm farting with confidence, as we used to say. But yeah.
I love it. I'm so glad for you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Fred. I really appreciate it, and I hope you're doing well.
John, life is abundant. Thank you so much. I wish you the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
You too.
Thank you there, John, and thanks for calling on in. We're always glad to hear from folks like you. I do have Patty waiting. She's waiting for us in Largo, actually. But I want to remind folks you're listening to the Healthy Steps radio show here on WMNF Tampa. And you're encouraged to participate. You're invited, actually, to participate by calling 813-239-9663. Maddie is anxious to take your call. So again, to make it easy, that number is 813-239-9663. You can also continue to send emails to dj@wmnf.org. As I promised, I've got Patty here. Good morning, Patty.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for taking my phone call. It's a question about the shingles vaccine. I'm a great proponent of vaccines because I'm an old nurse and I remember polio with the iron lung. So here's my question. Many years ago, I had the oily-based myelogram dye injected into my spinal cord, and it caused an arachnoiditis, which is an incurable progressive nerve condition, and my nerves are completely lit up. And I am just a little bit concerned or worried if I had this shingles vaccine, it might cause everything to completely light up because the whole nervous system is lit up, obviously. So if you were me, doctor, would you have the shingles vaccine anyhow? That's the only thing I'm a little concerned about.
First question is, who's your functional medicine doctor?
I don't have a functional medicine doctor. I do have a pain doctor, but I don't take any drugs. I just have cold laser therapy on the spinal cord because I've had 2 laminectomies, a spinal cord tumor, and plus the arachnoid layer, which has been burnt. So
who's evaluating the inflammatory molecules in your body?
I've heard there's absolutely no, because I'm always going to the National Institute of Health, and then they just say it's a pain condition, it's progressive.
They say a lot of mumbly-jumbly stuff that doesn't have a lot of meaning. But they say some interesting factoids too. But you have a chronic inflammatory condition. You don't have a doctor managing it. You just have somebody suppressing the pain once in a while, but you don't have anybody actually dealing with your overall inflammatory condition. I wouldn't actually get any kind of intervention until I got inflammation evaluated and controlled.
Well, I do have an anti-inflammatory diet. I mean, I take all my...
Okay, and did the diet take the lab test that looked to see how your inflammation in your body's doing?
Well, actually, I have been to a rheumatologist and have had those panels of blood work done.
Yeah, they do the kind of panels that don't show what I look at because they aren't functional.
Okay. But
I would suggest you find a good functional medicine doctor in your area and go talk to him because you need somebody to help you with managing a chronic condition.
I mean, I've had the COVID vaccine, and
good, but you're still in denial here.
But don't do anything about the shingles vaccine until
I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm saying do something. Go to a functional medicine doctor and have an evaluation of your overall systemic inflammation problem. You have a chronic inflammatory response syndrome, and you need to get that controlled.
Okay. In the interim, though, do you recommend the shingles vaccine for me?
In the interim, I recommend that you get to a functional medicine doctor and get your inflammatory condition evaluated and managed.
Okay. Well,
that's what I would do in the interim.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking my call, and I listen to your program faithfully.
Wonderful, Patty. I really appreciate that. And best wishes on finding that doctor. You can go to IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine.org, and they have a physician finder. You can look at 25 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles, and find a doctor in your area, and they give you a listing of all the people that you can find in your area, and it describes what they do, because not every functional medicine doctor does general things. Some are focused on gynecology or neurology or things like that.
Uh-huh. Oh, well, thank you. I think that's perhaps exactly what I need, because this has been going on for, well, ever since I got the oily-based myelogram dye injected.
Yeah, it sounds like Western medicine's failed you, and you need somebody else.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your good advice and for taking my phone call. I enjoy your program immensely.
Thank you for calling, my dear.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much there, Patty. And yes, I've got Pat in Seminole, followed by Stan in Mulberry. Good morning, Pat.
Hi there. I'm in my car. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good morning. Doctor, I heard you talking earlier about your breathing problems, and I'm mindful of the breathing problems after the 9/11 building collapses and the particulates that affected first responders and those kinds of people. And so I'm concerned about the United Nations and the recognition of the genocide in Palestine. And as I look at the rubble from all of those buildings being bombed, you know, it's bad enough the death and destruction, but the future crippled people. But I'm asking, the particulate that's in the air and what Palestinians are breathing right now, can they expect future health problems not dissimilar to those from the fall of the towers in New York City? Are there potential problems from living in that kind of situation, breathing that kind of stuff?
The fascist state of Israel is causing devastation, generational devastation, and has been actually for years, ever since they began marginalizing the Palestinians out of the West Bank and creating an apartheid state and concentration camp in Gaza. These people are oppressed, they are suppressed, and they are being toxified and murdered. Yeah, that's a problem.
But specifically the breathing stuff, like I said,
well, it's all there. I mean, yes, this is toxic. The toxic waste of buildings that were down that probably had asbestos in them, the waste from the chemicals that was used, whatever got, the destruction there is just causing a toxic mess.
Yes, and I thank you for such a good answer, and we need to be mindful of what's happening in our name and how the world views us in that. Thank you very kindly, Dr. Harvey. You have a great day, okay?
Yes, you're welcome, and you have a great day, too.
Bye.
Okay, thank you very much there, Pat. Let's go to Stan in Mulberry. Good morning, Stan.
Hello.
Hey, Stan.
How's it going, Dr. Harvey?
Fantastic. How about with you?
It is good. I went and pulled my Achilles. Actually, I snapped it, and they pulled it back together. And I was wondering what I should take to kind of help get it healed.
There's actually a really good supplement called orthosilicic acid. It's branded as Regenemax or BioSil, and that actually promotes collagen formation. Another thing that helps promote collagen formation is vitamin C. Good doses of vitamin C help to produce that collagen, and also taking in good protein. Even eating some collagen in a smoothie or something like that could be good. Or if you like really well roasted chicken, eat the cartilage on the joints. So these are all good sources for growing more tendon back. There's also another supplement that comes from a company called BioIberica. It's called, Synovix tendon and ligament. And that actually helps to reorganize tendons and regrow them.
Okay, great. I appreciate this very much, and I enjoy your show very much today.
I'm glad you do. Thank you for calling, and best wishes with that Achilles tendon.
Thanks.
Well, now this comes to the quieter part of the show. I've got no more callers, so I'll give you a chance to approach the emails that we've been getting all morning long, and I'll remind folks that you are listening to the Healthy Steps Radio show here on WMNF Tampa with Dr. Fred Harvey in the catbird seat. So if you want to express your concerns or questions medically, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Again, that number to call is 813-239-9663. And as I mentioned, we've been getting a slew of emails, so you can do it that way as well by addressing it to dj@wmnf.org. There's about 20 more minutes left in the show, so we want you to participate. What have you got for us there, Doctor?
Here's an email from David. He says, I'm curious about whether the GLP-1 drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic will go to over-the-counter access eventually. Well, interestingly enough, at my retreat last week in Mexico, they are over-the-counter. They were on the shelf there, and there were people fighting over them because there were lots of Americans in the room. And the second question is, well, they probably will go OTC here too, but I don't know when. Because if it goes over-the-counter, then that interrupts the supply chain where people are making lots of profit. And do these drugs do more harm than good? No, they actually do more good than harm. I'm watching it help in a lot of different ways, but here's the problem. People use drugs like this to cover up bad behavior. And that's when you get bad adverse consequences. Not paying attention, not doing the ethical thing with your body, and thinking you're going to get away with having a magic bullet. There are no magic bullets. We found that out millennia ago. In fact, it was common sense for the Greeks because they wrote a story about it, a parable about Pandora's box. In it was the cure for everything, but also every plague known to mankind. So no, there are no magic bullets without consequences. This one's from Bill. When all proper lifestyles are followed and hypertension persists, are there any procedures that can address this other than prescription drugs? Well, I would suggest that possibly an evaluation by a functional medicine doctor would be a good idea if that hasn't happened, because the regular primary care doctor has a very limited box of tools and tests to evaluate what's going on. So, yeah, I think it really is worth it for you to look to a healthcare practitioner rather than an illness care practitioner because, you've already got the label high blood pressure. Now it's time to target that with pills if you're in a regular practice. But why don't we look at why you have high blood pressure and do a better workup? This one's from Pete. Hello, tanned and rested doc. Well, it rained 5 of the 7 days. We were inside at lectures all during the day. And yeah, tan, I don't get much tan at 6 in the morning when I do my Qigong on the beach. But thank you. Rested, sort of. It was very emotional because it was a spiritual and emotional breakthrough retreat. But this past week has been relatively restful and quite enjoyable. Is it true that fruits have the number 9 at the beginning of their number tags? It's organic. And would that imply less wax and pesticides? It doesn't imply less wax because that can be organic stuff. But pesticides, yes. Organic implies no pesticides. So any fruit or vegetable that starts with number 9, and usually then it's going to be 5 numbers. Like the normal, like the non-organic stuff starts usually with a 4, and it only has 4 numbers. So look at your little sticker and see if it starts with a 9. That means it's been grown organically. All fruits, all vegetables, if they use those numerical labels, then you know that they've actually done some due diligence and applied and got certified for organic. Hi, this one's from Joanne. She's a 73-year-old woman, had an e-bike accident resulting in a fractured clavicle. It was surgically repaired, and her PCP tells her that he or she has to prescribe alendronate because of the fracture. Well, okay, if that's her, edict, I don't has to. I don't know that anybody's actually forced a doctor to do anything. But anyway, alendronate is a bisphosphonate. It is a osteoporosis medication. But one of the things you really need to do, because it actually promotes bone growth, because alendronate and all the bisphosphonates actually paralyze your bone cells so you don't get worse osteoporosis. Probably the worst thing you could do after a fracture. Actually, it should be contraindicated in my opinion, because it actually inhibits the drugs that actually, or inhibits the cells that actually grow you new bone. It probably doesn't have any benefit or bad effect according to like observational studies. But really, if you can start some Regenemax, orthosilicic acid, right after the fracture, you're going to actually be promoting collagen growth. If you take more collagen, if you take vitamin C, you're going to be promoting more collagen growth. Just as I told the gentleman who had the torn Achilles tendon, you can promote more growth. It's pretty easy, and you really probably should promote more growth because that's the way you heal. And if you do have osteoporosis, it's not a bad idea to consider treating it. DKH says, I'm retired military. About 50 years ago, I was diagnosed with herpes. Later, they said it was shingles, then herpes. Well, shingles and herpes are the same thing. And he used to get lesions on his buttocks for many, many years, then on face, and so basically, it's a systemic infection. He takes 800 milligrams of acyclovir daily to suppress the virus. The VA offered him the shingles vaccine, but he was concerned about the adverse consequences, like the 1 in 100,000 or so that might get Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is usually resolved in a short time after it would occur. But I've only seen Guillain-Barré in about one person in 40 years from a vaccine. And so I think it's pretty darn safe. I think we have a caller.
Actually, we've got two. I've got Valerie from Gulfport and Mark from Sarasota. So let's go to Valerie. Good morning, Valerie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, good morning.
Okay, hi. So I had a question about other ways to treat sleep apnea. I was listening to your show as I'm driving home, and I heard you tell the guy that CPAP isn't the only thing. My brother has a host of health conditions that are all made worse by his sleep apnea, which he finally got diagnosed, and they sent him a CPAP, and he hates it, and he sent it back and isn't treating. And he's had a stroke. I'm 67, so he's 66. He had a stroke a few years ago that made him quit a lifetime of smoking, so that's good. But high blood pressure, high cholesterol.
Yeah, all the things that go along with sleep apnea.
Yes. So he has Medicare with one of those Advantage plans. I mean, Medicare. So they're not really helping him. So I just want some advice on what other things he can do to treat the sleep apnea, because he's taken some kind of controlled substance thing to sleep. That's his treatment. Is taking some. I don't remember which one it is, but sometimes
that just makes the sleep apnea worse, and it's going to kill him faster. Because sleep isn't his issue. No oxygen at night is the issue, and the sedative that he takes to keep him asleep through the low oxygen is actually keeping the oxygen low and killing more of his brain cells and heart cells and vascular cells and causing more diabetes and high blood pressure and risk for another stroke.
Oh, great. And I've noticed he's not, his memory's getting worse.
So, yeah, it does that too. But most people actually, with a good sleep doctor and coaching, actually do well on CPAP. It's unfortunate he sent it right back because he doesn't have anybody there to coach him, and his disadvantage plan doesn't help much. Whenever you sell your Medicare rights to one of these disadvantaged private insurers, you lose all your Medicare rights. Medicare is the best insurance a senior could have. Even if you do it without a supplemental, it's better than taking one of those private insurance things. But it's better to take it with at least the medication plan supplemental, because it saves you a lot of money on meds. But in the meantime, the other methods of treating sleep apnea include dental devices that help your mouth to hold position, chin straps that actually can augment that. There are a
whole set of dentures, so I don't know that.
Yeah, so he has a problem there, in that his mouth collapses at night because he probably takes his dentures out. So he may be actually a really good candidate for CPAP. But he also could be someone who responds to the Inspire device, which is an implantable device that works on the breathing muscles. So there are a bunch of different possibilities, but you need to go to a sleep doctor and ask about the possibilities.
Great. So once you have the disadvantage plans, which we both have, can you ever get back to original Medicare?
Yeah, the enrollment period's coming up next month, October to January. You can actually reassign, and you can get rid of the disadvantage, go to straight Medicare and get a supplemental program, preferably not from United Healthcare, because they're the ones that are the users that use AARP. Or AARP and United Healthcare have this deal where AARP gets $1 billion a year in kickbacks for selling crappy insurance.
Right. Yeah, I had United Healthcare for years through work. I know original Medicare is more expensive out of pocket for people that are very low income.
That's why they call it an advantage. You'll spend less money, but then you also get less benefits.
Right.
That's the trade-off. That's the disadvantage. You have less access to things that Medicare pays for.
So so you said that there's other things to do besides just try the CPAP once and send it back. He could actually potentially work with a sleep doctor to help him use it, or are there different kinds of CPAP?
There's different kinds of masks. There's different kinds of the way the CPAP works. Yeah, sending it back after one night is absolutely lame. He just didn't want to do it.
I think he made it maybe for a week, but
but even so, he needs a good doctor to help him with it.
Right, because it's oxygen deprivation. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's not sleep issue. It's oxygen deprivation, and so he needs a sleep doctor to coach him into a better health.
Okay, well, this is enough information for me to at least lean on him, and he may even be listening now. And then you just said something from an email. I have osteoporosis, and I'm on is it alendronate, the one you take once a month, the generic for Beniva?
Yes.
And you just said it freezes the bone cells?
Yeah, it actually basically paralyzes your osteoclasts, the one that eat your bone and make it thinner. And so it's a toxin. It's a toxin. Let's get right on this. You're taking a toxin to prevent osteoporosis. Why not do all the other things that grow it?
Right. Well, I'm walking. I'm doing Tai Chi 4 or 5 times a week. I'm taking
getting enough protein?
Calcium. I'm trying. I've talked to you before, and I'm trying to eat like 80 grams of protein, 60 to 80
good
a day. That it's hard to do, but yeah, I'm really working on. I use
Regenemax, vitamin C, all kinds of things. So yes, I think it's worth having a doctor check your bone resorption markers too, like the N-telopeptide, the C-telopeptide, and the PINP, which is the collagen production number. So there's some really good things that metabolic doctors look at that most doctors don't bother.
So I could just try to have a couple of appointments with a functional medicine doctor and pay out of pocket to just look at the osteoporosis? Do they? Yeah,
I'm just get a workup and address all the things, because osteoporosis isn't an isolated thing. There's a reason you have it.
Oh, great. I just figured it was, genetic because my mother had it. My
inflammation, hormones, toxicity, you name it. They're all involved.
Okay.
Protein malnutrition. Big.
Okay. Wow.
Good luck, Valerie.
Right.
Give me a call back when you've actually pursued it. Let's hear what's happened.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks so much, Dr. Harvey.
You're welcome.
Well, we're going to hold you to that promise, Valerie. We will expect to hear back from you. I've got Mark from Sarasota on the line. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hey there.
Hey. My question is methylene blue. I just heard about it yesterday. I went online a little bit. I have psoriasis, and that's why it kind of piqued my interest. But then it intrigued me even more when I read other things about it. Do you have any opinion on methylene blue?
I love fads. Fads are really fun to watch. They wash through our culture on a regular basis. You won't hear about methylene blue in about 4 years, but you're going to hear about it for the next 2 or 3. Every affluencer on Instagram is going to try and sell you some methylene blue. Remember, I said affluencer, not influencer. Affluencers are those people that sell you all kinds of crap you don't need on Instagram and Facebook.
You are speaking to the choir. I didn't get it there, but you're speaking to the choir. That's one reason why I'm calling you, too.
Yeah. So then you got your answer. Methylene blue is a hype.
Okay. That's what I kind of thought, but I appreciate you telling me that.
Yeah, it's like this whole seed oil crisis thing. Hype. I don't want to eat tons of seed oil, but I mean, the psychosis associated with the seed oil aversion is really weird.
Yep. No, I got you. All right. Well, you helped me a lot because that's what I was thinking. But I like to kind of research things, and I trust what you say. So thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
Have a happy day.
And you too.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much there, Mark. I do have Chris from Clearwater on the line. Good morning, Chris.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to ask you, chime in what you thought about food-grade diatomaceous earth as a source of silica to help build the collagen. And if folks don't want to take it, maybe horsetail might be a less expensive than horsetail is more expensive than bamboo extract. I found that's another good source of silica. I see so many horsetail products on the market. But I'm just concerned. I have some health concerns about drawbacks that I've seen on that, and and the drawback I've seen with the diatomaceous earth is that it seems to mechanically, as it can mechanically, kill parasites and bugs. When bugs or insects are outside.
Yeah. Actually, it's a really good thing because it cuts through the chitin skin of the insect, and they actually dehydrate to death. But I'm not sure. See, the diatomaceous earth is skeletons of small diatoms, small like plankton things, and I've not seen it used primarily as a source, a nutritional source, because it's not organic. I do prefer things like bamboo, that orthosilicic acid, which is a choline-bound silica, highly absorbable, highly available. But I'm just not really sure that the diatomaceous earth silicon is available that way, but it's a great detox agent. It's a really good ground pesticide. You have to put it around your plants pretty often to keep the ants and things away. But otherwise, no, I haven't seen articles about it being therapeutic that way.
Oh, well, yeah, I found quite a few studies, not for collagen per se, but you can assume that, I haven't looked at collagen in specific, but I see several studies that it helps reverse arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. But the one warning I would have is that I can't find any research, but I think from my and other experience that it could kill your beneficial gut flora, so I supplement.
There's a possibility of that too. So I don't use a lot of it, but periodically I think it is good to clean out a bad biome. Most of the things that I would recommend, I don't recommend to take all the time anyway, because that's not the way our bodies work. We do things seasonally and locally, and we move through things. And so there's no one set of supplements that I even take every day, all the time, because that's just not the way it works. And Chris, thank you. But we're down to the last seconds. I really appreciate your calling today. Always good information. And this has been a wonderful show. Thanks for the interaction. I really love it when so many people call in. We get such a diverse amount of information going. And I really appreciate you, Bill, for doing my in-house production. And Maddie, can't do it without you on the phones. Appreciate all the callers. And I will see you in a week for more of this Ask Me Anything.
Yes, and I think that the callers and the emailers are sort of a quiet praise to the great show that you have there, Doctor. That's why they're participating. And I want to thank them for their actual involvement into the show. I want to thank you, Doctor, for this fantastic show. And, of course, thank Maddie for making it happen. So to everybody on out there, until next week, stay healthy. You have been listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa. Coming on up next is 5 minutes of NPR News, followed by the Sustainable Living Show, hosted today by Annie Ellis. So until next Monday at 10 a.m., thank you for supporting and listening to the Healthy Steps Radio Show with Dr. Fred Harvey here on WMNF Tampa, your community conscious radio station. Stay safe, stay thoughtful, and know that you are loved.